Joining us on the broadcast this minute is Diesen, Professor of International Relations, University of Southeastern Norway, with us from Oslo. Thanks very much for being here. I want to first talk to you about the concerns of this war spilling over. In the latest, a major escalation has taken place at Israel's northern border with Lebanon, with the Lebanon-based militant group Hezbollah saying that it attacked as many as 19 Israeli positions along the border. But the U.S. National Security spokesperson, meanwhile, saying there is no indication that Hezbollah is ready to go in full force. What do you make of that?
Well, I think obviously the world's eyes are now on Hezbollah, given that they might soon announce their position and what they might do. So this will be quite decisive, because they're quite a powerful force to be reckoned with. And this war will most likely spread beyond Gaza now. So the question is who will be the main one to be pulled in first. I think Israel has somewhat control over the West Bank, but this war will I think eventually will pull someone else in, because this is a very different kind of war. We've had many wars in this region before, but the huge amount of killings of civilians, especially children, but also the prospect of Israel annexing part or all of Gaza has incentivized many other parties to possibly join in, and Hezbollah, of course, will be the main one. So I think they already become involved in some way, and I suspect that they will come in a bigger way as well if this conflict escalates in Gaza.
Right. Talking about the expectations from Anthony Blinken's latest visit, where he also met the Israeli president and asserted, reiterating America's support for Israel, but also asserting that they will ensure that the October 7 events do not happen again, and talking about earlier, reports talking about how the visit will focus on concrete steps to be taken to minimize harm to Gaza civilians. But how realistic are these expectations, really?
No, I don't think it's very realistic. Keep in mind that warfare, takes place in both the military, economic, but also the information space. And I think that there is a need now to do something about the bad sentiments or uprising we see now around the world. Because when Hamas first attacked Israel, of course, the whole world was appalled by the horrible crimes committed against Israeli civilians. But now that Israel has struck so hard against Gaza, with all the deaths occurring, but also for many this seems like Israel will pursue some strategic objectives which aren't related to the attacks by Hamas. I think the costs, not just on the US, but the EU as well, is growing, because by throwing their full weight behind Israel, as they always do, it seemed like a safe bet after 7th of October. But now that they might become complicit in ethnic cleansing, possibly even genocide, there's a need to do something to manage the impressions of this. And I think sending missiles to Israel and at the same time sending medical equipment to Gaza as they're being bombed, and giving some speeches of empathy. I think this is probably a good strategy in order to reduce some of the hardship. But I don't to reduce some of the bad reputation. But I don't think that this is necessarily. If they're authentic, I don't think it's very realistic, because it's not going to do much of a difference.
Right. What is your assessment of Israel's strategy at this point?
Well, it appears that a key objective will be to come up with a more final solution for what to do with Gaza, because. But I think that the objective to first storm all of Gaza, it would create too much of a backlash around the rest of the world, and possibly pull in other Arab states or actors. So I think that the most likely tactic they will use is all incrementalism or salami tactics, where they do smaller operations, which then amounts eventually to the same objective. But it's a good way to reduce the backlash and give more reasonable way for other actors to stay out of this conflict. So it's a common tactic used by the Americans. So I suspect this is the way the Israelis will go as well. But in terms of what the future is for Gaza, it depends. I still assume that they will annex part of Gaza, because the Israelis have a Palestinian problem. That is, there's too many Palestinians. If you would have a one-state solution, the Palestinians and non-Jews would actually become a majority if you include both the West Bank and Gaza. So at some point they will have to, in my opinion, they will look to actually do full ethnic cleansing in terms of pushing them out into Egypt. But if they will do it this time, it's unclear.
We're leaving it there for the moment. Thanks very much for being here. WION now available in your country. Download the app now. Get all the updates on the move.